the two of them. Oh, it's contact. There's contact. And there's contact between Cheryl Paul and Campbell Pilling. Hello and welcome everyone to the first round of the 2023 Daniel Ricciardo Series. We are at Shenington, 6 miles west of Banbury for this first round of this season. It's a dry day, albeit a little bit blustery out there, but the first of 7 compelling rounds to this year's championship. For those that aren't familiar with the series, 3 classes, our DRS62s, the youngest of our 3 groups of drivers, the DRS100s, the junior category, and the DRS125s, the senior drivers amongst our competitors. As we said, 7 rounds of this year's championship. We start here in Oxfordshire at one of the most historic kart racing circuits in the UK. Shenington has been hosting top-level kart racing events, British Championship kart racing events since the 1960s. And it's one of the classics, isn't it, when we look at British kart racing circuits. A pleasure to be here with the series this weekend. The first time we've been here for many of a year as well. It's an old airbase here at Shenington, an old airfield, and it's a great mix of high speed, high momentum corners, just with a couple of tricky technical sections thrown in as well. We'll take you around this Shenington circuit throughout the day and talk to you about the ins and outs of what makes it one of the most thrilling circuits on the calendar this year. In terms of where we go from here, we head over to, or down to Wales for round 2 at Landau. That's in late May, just around about a month's time before we head to our most southerly circuit in Clay Pigeon for round 3 on the 24th and 25th of June. We then head up to the northwest to Houghton Park in mid-July before a return not far from here actually to Little Rissington, another of those great historic kart circuits. That's over into August, end of August, and then up back to North Wales, Glanigors, into September for the penultimate round of the championship, which all comes to a conclusion at Wilton Mill on the 7th and 8th of October. That's the calendar. You'll be able to join us live through our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. You can watch all the action here if you don't manage to be with us here at Shenington. And before too long, the action will get underway. We'll talk you through the process of the day just about 5 or 6 minutes before we start the first on-track action. And that on-track action is through the DRS 100 class, the junior class of our 3 groups of drivers. They are split into 2 groups, and that is just purely because of the volume of drivers we have in our DRS 100 category. 11 to 16 years old, these young drivers, and they are split into a Group A or a Group B. So it will be the Group A drivers who head onto circuit to start their qualifying session. So all of the drivers in the series get a time qualifying on the morning of every race day, 8 minutes to post their fastest possible time, and that will give them a grid position for the first heat. Welcome down to the dummy grid for the DRS 125. Just going to have a quick zoom around and see who we can grab here. I want to try and get over to Sam Faulkner if we can, and just see what he thinks of the change in the field. Probably the biggest number of DRS 125 drivers we've had in the championship for many years. I'm going to nip in here with Sam. Sam, would it be fair to say there's a bit more competition than we had last year?
Yeah, quite a bit more. A lot of the juniors have come up. There's a lot more interest, I think, this year. And yeah, it should be good.
And volume as well, obviously more DRS 125 drivers than we've had before. New circuit that we hadn't had on the calendar last year. How are you finding the setup at Shenington?
Yeah, it's good. We used to race here quite a lot a few years ago, so it's not completely new for most people. But yeah, it's good to come back here. It's always good racing.
Good man. All the best for the qualifying session. We're just going to nip down one in front of him as well, because we talked about competition. Well, one of the competition will be Freddie Cox, who's made that that jump up from the juniors. What's the biggest difference, Freddie, in terms of the way the car behaves, the way the engine power comes into play, the type of circuit this is at Shenington? What's the general feel of things compared to where it was with the juniors?
On the whole, the car handles the same. All it is really is just out of the corners. You can definitely feel the extra power. In terms of Shenington, it's definitely sort of an engine track. You need to get the carb mixture right, and that's something we've been struggling for this weekend. So yeah, we've tried it again to see if we can get it working, but we've just got to see now.
I always thought that Shenington was a momentum circuit. It's one of those circuits where you make a mistake and you generally get punished for a good couple of corners, especially sort of through the high-speed corners through the first couple. But there is real genuine overtaking opportunities here, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, there's two key at the top and at the bottom of the track, Stratford, Herpin and Wilkins. And yeah, it is flowing. You have to keep the revs up so you don't kill the kart and get a good exit from the corner to then go down to the long straights.
Good man. So all the best for qualifying, Freddie. Let's just see if we got time. Yeah, we've got time. And how much wire have you got? We need to. Can we get right to the back? Can we get all the way down here? He should have plenty, I'm being told, in my ear. I just want to go and see Rowan Campbell-Pilling if we can. He's giving me a thumbs up because Rowan's right at the back of this field. Another of the drivers that's come up from the junior DRS100. Rowan, I asked Freddie what the big difference is. He didn't say there was an awful lot of difference.
There's certainly a power difference. Out the corners, there's more acceleration. That's about it, really, to be honest. The competition's definitely slightly fiercer, I'd say, in senior. It's all really, really close and amazing racing. So
you've got some big boys to compete with now, haven't you? And you've already had some success. The fact that we've got a DRS plate on the front of the car shows that you've had some success in the early season already. It is going to be tough out there, but you've already sort of established yourself as the premium driver in DRS 100, and I would imagine some of these guys will be looking over the shoulder.
I'm just going to do my best. That's all I can ever do, and just push as hard as I can and do what I do best.
Very diplomatic answer from Rowan Campbell-Pilling. We'll head back to the front of the field. The other driver that we have to speak to is Oliver Owen, because he's down here on the outside of the 8th row at the moment. We've been talking to people, Ollie, about new drivers coming into the series this year and new drivers coming to the class. You're the one they've all got to aim for, aren't you?
Yeah, it's good to see the grid actually being a good size, because since we started, the grid's always been here but never massive. But it's good to see that there's a lot of people coming up and staying in the series as well.
Good man. I'll leave you to your qualifying session. He is the one that they all want to beat. He's got the number one plate on his DRS125 car. I think probably that the biggest change that we've seen from any of the three classes, and probably the most exciting action to come from the DRS125. They're due with their qualifying session. It's just about to go out on circuit. Let's see how they get on. So a quick hop back up to the commentary position here at Shenington, and we are just around about a minute into the DRS 125 time qualifying. 20 or so of these senior drivers. There is a fairly youthful look, isn't there, to the field. You've still got the trusty experience of the likes of Mark Lawrence and Firas Bilbezi and Tom Snape, but there is certainly a youthful appearance to this class with the influx of Rowan Campbell-Pilling and Freddie Cox and Daniel Weir and these drivers that have come up through the DRS 100 class, the likes of Oscar Walmsley-Jones as well. So let's just see how they fare. It might just become a little bit of a turf war between the old and the younger generations. But what an interesting, compelling DRS 125 class we have this season. Could be very, very interesting indeed. Could be very close. And this, let's see if this qualifying session gives us an indication of how close that could be. As Rowan Campbell-Pilling makes the initial fastest lap of 43.5 for Campbell-Pilling, and Snape of 43.3 goes a little bit faster. Don't read too much into the first couple of laps. Let them get settled, let them get into their rhythm. There's a man out there with a championship to defend, and that is Oliver Owen. He is the one that they're all targeting. He's the one that they want. That's the number that they all want, that's for sure. But as we said before, the fact that Rowan Campbell-Pilling has already won the DRS plate this season shows that he is likely to be a major contender in this senior category, and he's the fastest out there at the moment. So Campbell-Pilling, Snape, Faulkner, Cox, Bilbezi, the 3-2-6 of Peter Hugler, the rookie driver, and then it's the number 9 of Kurt Fordry. Then Oliver Owen, 8th fastest at the moment. Mark Lawrence is 9th fastest, 5th in last year's championship. The 3:10 of Max Papworth in 10th place. And Daniel Weir moves up to 5th, his fastest lap of the session so far. We're just heading towards half distance, so expect drivers to now start to really try and put corners together as Freddie Cox moves up to 2nd. So Campbell-Pilling and Cox, the two young guns, 1st and 2nd out there at the moment. Snape, 3rd fastest. Faulkner, 4th fastest. Weir, 5th fastest. Hugler, 6th. Bilbezi, 7th. Owen, 8th. Fordry, 9th. Oscar Walmsley-Jones, 10th fastest. Then Mark Lawrence. And then the 3-2-7 of Ryan Williams. And Max Papworth, 12th and 13th. Then it's the number 8 of Tommy Welsh and Carl Watt down in 15th at the moment. 16th for the 3:30 of Tuscany Groves. And then the 3:28 of Jake Woodrow. And the last driver out there at the moment is Roberto Minoni. So Campbell-Pilling, Snape now back up to 2nd. 43 flat for Rowan Campbell-Pilling. He said, I just do what I do. And what he generally does is win races. What he generally does is win championships. So he's putting a marker down here. That is for sure. Campbell-Pilling just goes past us now at Cafe Corner. Swings round. A bit bumpy. It is a little bit bumpy here at Shenington. It's an old airfield. There is a couple of contrasting surface changes as you go through. Certainly on the way out of the Bruno chicane. It can be a little bit of a bumpy ride. It's not bumpy as in Rissington bumpy or Fullbeck bumpy, but it's, you know, it can give you a little rattle, especially if you get it wrong around here. So where's Faulkner? Faulkner's 4th fastest, needs to find a couple of tenths here. So 43 flat for Campbell-Pilling. Snape, 2nd fastest. What a good showing from Tom Snape. 3rd in last year's championship. Certainly arrived here at Shenington with a bit between his teeth. Cox, 3rd fastest. Faulkner, 4th fastest. Then Oliver Owen now, the champion, up into 5th. 3 tenths off the pace at the moment. There is Faulkner in a little bit of traffic with Mark Lawrence ahead of him. He's going to go past Lawrence into Cafe Corner, and Freddie Cox is ahead of those. So Campbell Pilling, Snape, Cox, Faulkner, Owen, Weir, Bill Basie, Hugler, Walmsley, Jones and Fordry. They are the top 10. Mark Lawrence is 11th. We've got 90 seconds or so to go here before the actual racing action starts. So remember, the DRS100s, their first heat for the Group A is 11:45. So anybody gone faster? No. All been fairly. I wonder if the tyres have just started to go off ever so slightly. There is Campbell Pilling to complete another lap. Does he go faster? No, he doesn't. I wonder if they've all just generally set the car up to come on very quickly. Usually mean that you put a couple of PSI into the tyres. Make that mechanical grip come to fruition as quickly as you can. And then they do tend to go off, so you just lose a little bit of that momentum. The tyres overheat. You don't get the best out of them as the session goes on, and nobody's managed to go faster, have they, for a couple of laps now. So, with the exception of Carl Watt, who's just moved up to 12th, and the 3:27 of Ryan Williams, who's just got himself in the top 10, Ryan Williams. Peter Hugler's the best of the rookie drivers. Williams the second fastest, 8th and 10th respectively. But Fordry drops to 11th and Lawrence to 12th. But Campbell Pilling, Snape, Cox, Faulkner, Owen, top 5. They've been like that for a while now. And they're just coming in. It's a very short runoff, so you go through the checkered flag, you literally turn left and come into the pits. So hence why the timings are a little bit more spaced out here, because you don't have to wait for all the drivers to do a full slow lap before they come into the pits, and there is no change then. So the last couple are coming through. I don't think anyone's going to go faster in these closing stages. No, indeed, Campbell Pilling's one of the last to enter the pits. So Campbell Pilling, Snape, Cox, Faulkner and Owen. Daniel Weir, 6th fastest. Bill Basie, 7th fastest. They'll go through all the required scrutineering checks. So interestingly, the youngsters have certainly got amongst the more experienced senior drivers. Campbell Pilling, fastest. Tom Snape, 2nd fastest. Freddie Cox, a strong 3rd. Faulkner, will they be happy with that? Probably not, in terms of Sam Faulkner's standards and expectations. I'm sure he was hoping to be top of the pile and put his own marker down in this first qualifying session of the season. Interesting stuff from the DRS125 drivers. We now have a short little break and a couple of spots of rain on that camera lens. Doesn't look like it's raining out there, but it's a little bit overcast, isn't it? I don't think we're expecting any rain throughout the day. It would be certainly very interesting if we did get a shower. But certainly not expecting. Although we're not expecting the temperature to particularly rise, we're not expecting any rain either. So what have we got? We've got 10 minutes or so before the DRS 100s are due for the first heat of the day. So those that are tuning in, 11:45 for the DRS 100A group, who start their campaign of competitive action in heat number 1. That's scheduled for just around 10 minutes time, and we'll be back with you shortly.
let me know if you want to put up any graphics with these guys as well. Yeah, sorry, I realised.
So our final heat of the day. Remember, every driver in the DRS series completes time qualifying. They complete a heat, a pre-final and a final. So plenty of track time out there for the drivers. So just in terms of the schedule, following this DRS125 first heat, there'll be a lunch break, and then we're back with the DRS100 pre-final for the A category at 10 to 2 this afternoon. So this will be a good indication, won't it? We were interested in talking about we had the young versus old debate earlier on. We've got the healthiest grid of DRS 125s I think we've ever had. Certainly the most competitive grid. Could lead to a wonderful championship spectacle. How does the first heat pan out? This is drivers that haven't raced against each other before primarily. Just working each other out. This could be a really interesting indication of where this championship could take us this season. At the very start, remember, and nothing is won or lost here. But certainly drivers will be keen to make their statement, to put their stamp onto this series. 7 rounds to go, an awful lot of running and riding to be done. Campbell-Pilling then. Rowan Campbell-Pilling, the DRS 100 champion from last year. He's won the DRS plate already this season in the opening month of the year. He starts on pole position. He had a 1/10 of a second's advantage over Tom Snape, 3rd in last year's championship. He's alongside him on the front row. Freddie Cox and Sam Faulkner on row number 2, the 332 and the 283. Oliver Owen, the champion, back on the inside of row 3 with Daniel Weir, another of the young hopefuls, alongside him. Then it's Firas Bilbezi and Peter Hugler, Oscar Walmsley-Jones and Ryan Williams and Kurt Fordry and Mark Lawrence. They're the top 12. There is 18 of these DRS125 drivers in the field. This could be a fascinating 9 minutes plus a lap. Will they go first time? Snape just trying to hold round the outside, just eyeballing Rowan Campbell-Pillin. There's so many little pieces of gamesmanship go through here. They will go first time, and Cox has gone through into second. I think it's not a good start from Tom Snape. So Campbell-Pillin looks over his shoulder. He'll see a very familiar face behind him. That familiar face is Freddie Cox. Down towards the hairpin for the first time, as it looks like Faulkner tries to nip down the inside. Doesn't make it stick this time round. Up towards the Bruno chicane for the first time. Campbell-Pillin, Cox. Who is that? Is it Oliver Owen into third place? It is. It's a champion start, up from 5th to 3rd for Oliver Owen. Then the battle is between Faulkner and Snape for 4th and 5th, and behind them is the number 4 of Firas Bilbezi. So decent start from Bilbezi. Here they come then to complete the first lap. Campbell-Pillin, Cox, Owen, Faulkner, Snape, Bilbezi. Hugler's up a couple of places into 7th, the best of the rookie drivers. Daniel Weir is 8th, Walmsley-Jones is 9th, and Lawrence is up a couple of places into 10th place. Through the chicane. It's not a really short lap here, but it does feel like they get round very quickly, doesn't it, compared to some of the circuits that we go to, Rissington for example. So, what's the gap between Campbell-Pillin and Cox? Just around about 2 kart lengths as they go into the cafe corner. And now, Faulkner up into 3rd. Now, how important is this for Faulkner? Have we lost somebody there? So Faulkner and Snape, 3rd and 4th. Bilbezi, it's Owen, dropped down to 6th. So Oliver Owen drops down to 6th. And there's a warning for Owen, so sounds like it was self-inflicted from Oliver Owen. Drops himself down to 6th place. Now, this is important for Faulkner. We won't read too much into it, because this is only round 1 of 7. It's heat 1 at round 1. But he's got 2 young men in front of him who've both come up from DRS 100. If he can close this gap on these two, put his elbows out a little bit and say, listen boys, you can come up with your youthful exuberance, but don't forget you come into play at my party here. So can Faulkner just cruise onto the back of Cox and Pillin? Can Cox in turn cruise onto the back of Rowan Campbell-Pillin and set his own stall out as a championship contender? This will be really interesting. Keep an eye on Tom Snape, who's a wily character, in 4th. Owen is 5th, Bilbezi is 6th, Hugler 7th, Weir 8th, Walmsley-Jones. So good opening showing from Weir and Walmsley-Jones. There is Faulkner in 3rd, there is Snape in 4th. Snape could just do with pushing Sam Faulkner a little bit closer to Freddie Cox if he possibly can. I think Campbell-Pillin has probably broken the resistance from Freddie Cox here. The gap's around 7/10 of a second. It was only a couple of attempts a few laps ago, so Campbell-Pillin, as we've seen so many times, so good at leading from the front, so good at getting out there and putting in those consistently quick lap times. He's doing a good job at the moment and just breaking the toe back to Freddie Cox. And in turn, Cox, although he might have lost a kart length or so last time round, still hasn't got Faulkner right on the back bumper just yet. There is 5 minutes of this first DRS 125 heat still to go. here at Shenington for round 1. And this time he is a little bit closer, Faulkner, to Freddie Cox. Now then, so if in the remaining 5 minutes or so that we have of this first heat, if Faulkner can get past Cox, which he's just done on the way through Cafe Corner, I was going to say if he can get through without causing himself to lose too much time, can he get after Rowan Campbell-Pilling? The gap's about a second between the two of them. We gave a little wave to Freddie Cox as if to say, right, young man, you just follow me now. I will take you towards Rowan Campbell-Pilling. What pace has Faulkner got here? He's been a champion before in the Daniel Ricciardo Series. We know he's pretty much as handy as you get in one of these DRS125 carts. Has he got the pace? Oh, full course yellow. Well, that will help. That will certainly help. Where have we got full course yellow? What have I missed here? Where is it? I'm just looking out there to see what's happened. I can't see anybody standing. I wonder if they've got a piece of circuit. Ah, that's why. So we've got lots of, so into the chicane, into the centre chicane, there's a lot of tyres that have been, they've obviously been hit by somebody. But I can't see, there's not a car in the tyres from what I can see. So whatever's been in there has been recovered. So the marshals have now got to put those tyres back, which they have done. This won't take long to go green again, by the way, because the marshals are pretty much there with those tyres. Right, this is now interesting because it's allowed for Faulkner to cruise onto the back of Campbell-Pilling, so there'll be nothing between those two, so he'll be smiling like a Cheshire cat in behind that helmet. I think they'll go green this time. Marshals are still out there, so maybe not. Marshals are still out there and have got to repair the tyres. You can just see them in the shot earlier on there. They're pretty much done. Yeah, they're clear. This will go green this time, I think. Drivers won't know that yet. They'll come up to the line. Now, Faulkner needs to get right on the back of Campbell-Pilling here, who's already tried to sprint away. He can't give him any gap, any room. He's going to stick right onto the back bumper of Rowan Campbell-Pilling and just wait for the green. He cannot allow for Campbell-Pilling to get the drop here. It's a reaction test, this. Campbell-Pilling to the inside. He will hit the gas very, very shortly as they come out of the corner and look towards the green flag. When does he hit the gas? Does he go now? Yes, he goes now. Campbell-Pilling, they are green. Has he got the drop on Faulkner? He has. It's a slip from Faulkner. He needed to be right there, and he wasn't. He needed to be right tucked up on the bumper of Rowan Campbell-Pilling. And that's interesting, isn't it, that the experience of Faulkner just didn't allow him to get the best of it out of back Faulkner there against the youthfulness of Campbell-Pilling, but it was Campbell-Pilling who had the knowledge and the maturity to get the best of the drops. Now what's Faulkner got? He's got to try and close a 2-kart length gap on Rowan Campbell-Pilling, 0.3 of a second or so, and Cox just in behind has got to hold off Snape and Owen, 3rd, 4th and 5th. This is it's fascinating, isn't it? A minute to go here. So many little subplots, so many little things going on here. Can Faulkner cruise onto the back of Campbell-Pilling in the closing stages? Campbell-Pilling looks over his shoulder. He will now know that it is Sam Faulkner in behind him. He'll know that he's there or thereabouts. He hasn't cruised away, but he's still got that. It's a 2-kart length, a kart length and a half buffer over Faulkner. Faulkner isn't close enough to make a move. We've got, will they cross the line in time? I think we've probably got a lap to go. Will they get there before 2 laps to go? It will be 2 laps to go. It'll be quite tight next time round, but I think it will be 2 to go. Right then, so Snape has got past Cox into 3rd place, and Cox has got to be careful here because he's now got, and there it was. What a good move from Tom Snape to make that stick. Into 3rd, Cox, Owen, Bill Basie, Daniel Weir is behind them in 7th place. Walmsley Jones, Lawrence. So Mark Lawrence certainly doing a good job up into the top 10 as well. Right. Gonna be the last lap this time, isn't it? So front 2, Faulkner isn't close enough. It's going to have to be a dive. Oh, as I talk about a dive, there's a dive down the inside from Cox, who I think got a shove from Oliver Owen. The officials might want to look at that as they went in there. So Owen is now up into third at the expense of Snape and Cox. It was a dive down the inside from Cox, but I think he then got a helping hand into the rest of the corner. Right then, front two. Is he close enough? It will have to be last corner from Faulkner. He didn't get the best of runs out of the final turn. They go into the SEC. He's there though, isn't he? He's close enough. He's Faulkner. Will he have a look then? Front two absolutely together in the closing stage of this race. 2 corners to go. He switches to the inside. Does Faulkner sets him up an absolute beauty? Does Faulkner, and then Campbell Pilling goes wide and might come under pressure here from Oliver Owen. Faulkner, how about that from Sam Faulkner? We've talked about experience, talked about the older generation against the younger. Well, it was the experience that told, because he set him up an absolute beauty as they went through. Here it is, goes to the outside. Campbell Pilling has to defend. He switches, puts the anchors on, dives to the inside and makes it stick. And then from absolutely nowhere, Oliver Owen, last of the late breakers, tries to hold it down the inside as well. Wow, what a race, what a move. There might be a little bit of unpicking to be done by the officials, but Sam Faulkner says, listen you lot, you youngsters, you can come onto my patch, but don't expect me not to react. And Faulkner has won it then in the final lap, on the final corner. Campbell Pilling, who led throughout, finishes second. Oliver Owen third. Tom Snape comes home in fourth. What a super race from the DRS125s. We waxed lyrical last year about the DRS100s. Well, they may just have been displaced by the DRS125s in terms of entertainment. Well, if that's an indicator of what we could get this afternoon, do not go anywhere. Watch the live streams on YouTube and Facebook. Come and watch the action if you possibly can live. We will be back. We'll be back with the DRS100s just before 2 o'clock. We will see you all then. And if the first heat was anything to go by, this could be really interesting. So Rowan Campbell Pilling will start on the outside of the front row. That's because on the final corner of the final lap, Sam Faulkner found a way through. And just gave Campbell Pilling a reminder that he's in, well, a more experienced class of kart driver. Now he's graduated to the DRS 125 class. Our reigning champion is on the inside of the second row alongside Tom Snape, third in last year's championship. Freddie Cox on the inside of the third row with Firel's Bill Basie alongside him. And Daniel Weir and Oscar Walmsley-Jones on row 4, and Tommy Welsh and Mark Lawrence on row 5. 18 of these DRS 125s just contemplating, considering, probably running a star through their head of what could potentially happen in the next 5 or 10 minutes. The race distance will be 9 minutes plus a lap. All these Ricciardo karts the same, made the same. The Vega tyres are standardised, the engines are standardised. All about driver ability, driver development, driver capability. And certainly when we get to the DRS 125 class, our senior competitors, there's a lot of tactics involved as well, and they'll sit there. I always remember sitting there and trying to plot and plan my way through the first couple of laps, almost visualise my way through the first couple of laps. Back there to Mark Lawrence on the outside of the fifth row. few of the drivers towards the rear. Peter Hugler on the inside of row 9 alongside Carl Watt. And there's the 8 of Tommy Welsh. So the weather's still set fair here. I think we'll get away with it now. I think it'll just be fairly overcast throughout the remainder of the action this afternoon. So this our final pre-final with a B final following this, and then the 3 grand finals. Don't go anywhere if you're joining us live on Facebook or live on our YouTube channel as the DRS125s fire up and prepare to begin their pre-final. Ron Campbell-Pillin on the outside of the front row, Faulkner alongside him. So a lap and a half for them to stretch the legs, to get tyres temperature to where they need it to be. So these two will set the pace as they come out of the chicane. Who will blink first as they go over the line to start this 9-minute plus a lap race. They're not going to go this time, are they? Far too well stretched. Another rolling lap. We're just waiting for one to catch up, that's why. So the reason they've gone round again is the number 6 of Carl Watt was right at the back of the field, so he needs to come round and rejoin the rest of the drivers. Which is now done, and I think we will probably get underway this time. Towards the hanger straight, through the right-hander, and then through Wilkins. They're fairly well formed now. Will they be that way when they exit the next corner? It's Faulkner. They actually look very similar, don't they, helmet-wise, and their suits aren't tremendously different for the front two. It'll get a bit tricky from a distance. Faulkner on the inside then of the front row. Campbell-Pillin is alongside him. Are they going to go this time? Yes, I think they are. Round they come then. Faulkner. Does he get in the first corner first? Yes, he does. Campbell-Pillin has to hold off the advances not only of the number 1 of Oliver Owen, but also of Tom Snape as well. Now, he's managed to do that as they go down to... false start. So I thought I didn't see the lights change, although they were very much racing when they came round through the right-hander at Cafe Corner. But it is a false start. We will go again. Third time of asking now for these DRS125s. We may get a little finger wag from the officials here. Looked okay this time. Oh, that's why. Wasn't so clever, was it? We were already under the waved chevron flag for the false start as well. Right then, second time of asking. Inside for Faulkner, outside for Campbell Pilling. Do the lights change? No, they didn't change, did they? Or did they? No, well, false start again. Yeah, the lights didn't change. I wouldn't be surprised if they stopped this. I won't be surprised if they stopped this. They've had 3 goes at it. I don't know why that one didn't go. It looked fairly well formed, but if the official doesn't like it, doesn't start, I wouldn't be surprised if he stops this.
Every shot that you do.
He is stopping
so I
it.
kinda know
Oh,
when
yeah.
you're gonna
Should have been a clerk of the course.
cut, and I was like, okay.
He'll stop this and they'll get a good telling off as well because the margins are fine and everyone wants to get as much of an advantage as they possibly can. But they weren't 3 great starts, it has to be said, from our senior drivers. They're going to be stopped on halfway up the hanger straight, so Andy Cox has stopped them there. I'm assuming he's going to get them out. Oh, front 2 only. Oh, this will be interesting. So what's happening here? So Andy Cox has taken the front 2. See, in the good old days, it had been known to get the front 2 and put them to the back. If they couldn't behave themselves on the front row, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? I don't think he's going to do that for a minute. But I'm just keeping an eye. I think they're just checking that everyone's in the right place for a start. I think he's probably checking with... So I think that the likelihood is that... Here we go. So Campbell Pilling and Faulkner are going to get told off. Which is fair enough. Andy Cox is checking that the rest of them are actually in the order. Like 2 schoolboys, aren't they? Campbell Pilling's nodding his head. Faulkner's just looking at him. So they'll be told to stop braking line of stern. They'll be told to stop braking formation. They'll be told that they're hitting the accelerator too early. They'll be told that they've got to be level when they come across the line. And now they'll have their say about it. And we'll go again. I think everybody else is where they're meant to be. And by the way, the front 2 will have taken no notice of that at all. I can absolutely guarantee that for you. That they will have heeded none of those instructions and they will continue to try and get every possible little advantage they can do from the start of this race. Because they're competitors and they're winners and they want to do what they can to win the race. So I'm sure it'll be slightly more orderly than it has been for the first 3 attempts, but I still don't imagine it'll be perfect. And I imagine that the official will just go, right, get on with it, lads. Well, they certainly won't lose any sleep off them. I must have had about 300 of those tellings off. So, back under some sort of order then. There's still a few dots of rain around, isn't there? I don't know if that's just on the camera lens there, but it's still a little bit overcast. We don't think the temperature's ever broke over 15 degrees or so today, so it's been quite a cool day. It's quite a stiff breeze still around as well, taking the drivers down the Stratford straight, but it means when they come up one way in the hanger straight, it's right in the faces. So, Faulkner and Campbell Pilling. Fourth time of asking, 5th time of asking, I can't remember. Can we get going this time? Keep your eyes on the lights, top of the screen. Here they go, we are away this time. And Campbell Pilling tries to go all the way around the outside, doesn't manage to do it. Faulkner's in the first corner first. Campbell Pilling runs a little bit wide. Tom Snape is alongside him, but I think he'll hold him off. He has just held him off. Snape then slots into 3rd. I think that Freddie Cox is through into fourth. I think he's under pressure and there's a yellow flag. Why is he? Oh, there's contact. There's a lot of contact. There's not a big accident on the way through the. There's a red flag. There's a big accident on the way through the left-hander of Pitts Bend. So the race will be stopped. So whilst we were focusing on what was happening at the front of the field, there's a fairly big accident further down. Let's see the two drivers that are involved, but certainly I think there'll be a requirement for some medical attention down there. So the drivers will stop. I thought at start finish, yeah. So they're going to be stopped at start finish. We're going to have a couple. I can see all the drivers, and they're all, they're all moving around. So that's a real positive. Yeah, one of them sat down, and there is some medical support all going over there now. So hopefully there's not too much damage to the drivers. But yeah, they've all taken the helmets off now, so they're all look okay. But it looked a particularly nasty one. There was a car not the way up that it should have been. I think there's 3 carts involved down there. But yeah, we have a race stoppage then. Oh, so how many times are we going to have a go at getting this race done then? That's 5, attempt number 5 I think that was at the start of the race. We'll now be heading towards attempt number 6. I would imagine it will be a full restart. Drivers now decide whether to take their helmets off or do they just have a wander around? Do they just... They'll have seen this all before, so it's not something that will particularly concern any of them. It'll just be more of an inconvenience than anything else to the drivers who want to get on with it. A couple of the drivers just talking through what's happened and their version of events.
Like really soon.
It was as they went through the left-hander of Pitts Bend. It's a flat-out left. It's a fast part of the circuit. As we were looking at the front 2 or 3, there was 3 carts, I think, and one of them has ended up well embedded into the tyre barriers. One has ended up on its roof. Yeah, looks like a nasty one, but I'm pleased to report that I think the drivers involved are okay. Oh, they're all on the feet. Brilliant stuff. Okay, so all the drivers involved are up. I think one of them might have a few bruises. If I'm honest, I'm not quite sure who it is. I'll try and get a look at the numbers as they come back towards us. Might be a bit of a process of elimination of who's left on there and who's not. There's one of them coming back to us now, so we'll definitely get one of the numbers as that car gets pushed back along the short straight between Pitts Bend and Cafe Corner. And I always find this really interesting how they all approach this differently. So if you look now, there's a little committee meeting on the right-hand side of, I think, some of the more experienced drivers who are having a bit of a chat about it. Ron Campbell-Pilling has just sat in his car, which would probably be the same as what I would do. I won't really be interested in having a chat at this point, just get on with what I'm doing. The rest of them are now going to come over and go back into their cars. So one of the numbers involved was the 324 of Roberto Manoni. So he's just heading underneath us now with a very damaged nose cone. very bent nose cone, but he's absolutely fine because he's pushing that cart along. He's got a really nasty puncher to the front right as well. It's nearly off the rim. So that's taken a bit of impact. There's a single figure number over there as well, so I need to try and have a look at who that could possibly be. And then there's the one that ended up on its roof. So they're all going to get recovered, so we will get the numbers in a minute. And the rest of them are just, well, they're just having a bit of a committee meeting about it and a bit of a chat, with the exception of Ron Campbell-Pilling, who's very much focused on the job in hand. Now, what Ron Campbell-Pilling will be thinking is, right, Faulkner was away on both of those starts. How am I going to stop that? Do I need to get the jump on him? Do I need to be a bit more aggressive into Cafe Corner? Or do I just need to tuck myself in behind and try and fend off everybody else? Because that's ultimately what's costing the time. He had to fend off a couple, which meant that Faulkner just had, not a lot, but a couple of kart lengths for an advantage. And what we do know about Sam Faulkner is if you give him a couple of kart lengths advantage at the start of a race, he has got a habit of disappearing into the distance. So that's just something that I'm sure Ron Campbell-Pilling is considering now, what his tactic will be. The fact that this is the fifth, I think it's the fifth attempt at this start. He's had 5 goes at it, so we're going to get plenty of practice here. Right, so here are the other karts involved. So the first one is the one that was involved a little bit, I think it was involved a little bit further down the road. So this isn't the kart that was on its head. Oh, can you get me the number there? Number 9. Okay, so the number 9 of Kurt Fordry was involved. Now, where's the damage on that? A few tyre marks on the front, but they might have been there before. A few tyre marks on a side pod. Oh, chain's off. So it won't go very far. It's the other one that we really want to see. It's the other kart that's just heading through the gap now to come down to race up towards scrutineering, because that one's been on its roof. Very, very, very pleasing to see the drivers. That's the one we wanted. 326. It is. Oh, it's 326 of Peter Hugler. So Peter Hugler was the one. Now that has got some damage on it. So that's been upside down. So I would imagine the steering wheel, steering column, front nose cone, NASA panel, probably all had a little bit of a battering. I'll get a good look. It's going to come right underneath me in a minute, so I'll get a decent look at the extent. Oh, it looks in pretty good nick, to be fair. I'll be right. Needs a new nose cone. Okay, right. So drivers are fine. Karts need a bit of repair, but that's okay. But we will have a restart with 3 less DRS125 drivers. And all of a sudden, the schedule is out the window. So we'll be playing catch up a little bit with the timings. I'll keep you updated with that time. We obviously have an ability to make some time up between the gaps between the races. So I won't be surprised if we do finish on time. Now, what's happening here then? We'll try to drive it. Oh, they're all getting told off now. So initially, Faulkner and Roland Campbell-Pilling got told off. Now they're all in a huddle with the clerk of the course. I would imagine he's saying something along the lines of, boys, that's embarrassing. You're our senior drivers. And you've had 5 attempts at doing a start. And then you've all run into each other and one's ended up on its head. Behave yourselves. I would imagine will be the message. Something along them lines anyway. Few nods, few hand gestures. Bit of yes sir, no sir, sorry Matt. We'll behave. Few laughs, oh we're laughing about it now, it can't be that bad. Okay, committee meeting over. Now we've got to get them all back into the right places. They could have been doing that when they were stood there having the little meeting. So now we're going to push them in the right places. And we're going to have another go. So I'm assuming this will be a full restart. I'm not stood next to Sam today, so I can't give you the inside scoop on it, but I'm assuming that it'll be a full restart. They've only done 20 seconds or so, haven't they, of the pre-final. We know we are without Roberto Manoni and Peter Hugler and Kurt Fordry, because those carts are all just in my eyesight here below us in Parc Fermé. Oh, it might take a bit more than a nose cone on Peter Hugler's car, 'cause I've just seen him spinning the back wheel, which is going up and down with a very bent axle on it. So that might need a little bit more work. We're still not quite right, are we? We're still not quite ready. I wonder if there's still... Oh, I was going to say there's still some work to be done over there on the circuit, but the marshals have all expertly cleaned everything up. Everything's nice and neat and tidy. I think we're pretty much ready for a restart, aren't we? Still just a couple of drivers in and ready to go. A couple still chatting about it and doing whatever they're doing. So they'll have to do another formation lap. So they'll go back round and effectively it'll be a full rerun, just minus the 3 drivers that were involved in the incident. There's a bit of pressure on these front 2 now, isn't there, to get this start right? So Sam Faulkner on the inside of the front row. Rowan Campbell-Pilling, the DRS plate alongside him. Then Oliver Owen and Tom Snape. Row 3 is Freddie Cox. He actually made a really good start, didn't he, Freddie Cox? I think he was up to 3rd when that incident occurred. Firaz Bill Basie, 6th. Daniel Weir, 7th. Oscar Wormsley-Jones, 8th. Tommy Welsh is 9th. And Mark Lawrence is 10th.
I think they did, yeah.
So it doesn't look like we're really close to getting started, does it? There's a couple of drivers who are just sat on the tyres on the right-hand side of the screen. Tom Snape's over there. I think Mark Lawrence is over there as well. There's 3 or 4 that are in kart and ready to go. Faulkner's just stood at the front of the field, and Andy Cox is stood there as well. So for those that are just joining us, the race for the DRS125 pre-final was stopped after an accident on the first lap. The drivers are absolutely fine. There's a couple of karts that are going to need a bit of remediation work, that's fair to say. And we had three false starts as well. So 3 false starts, an accident. We're now going to go for the 5th time of asking fairly shortly, I think. I'm just trying to have a look around and see if I can see any reason why we wouldn't be getting underway. It may be down to the medical cover. Sometimes if the drivers are being checked out, it means that you haven't got on-circuit cover and you need to have that on-circuit cover throughout. So is that what it is? There you go. I'm getting a nod and a thumbs up from the scrutineers. So that'll be what we're waiting for. So as at any motorsport event, we need to have medical cover on circuit now. A couple of drivers are just getting precautionary checks from the medical staff, which means that on-track medical assistance isn't quite in place yet. So as soon as that comes back, we will be ready to go. When that will be, I've not got a clue. So we will just hold on for a few moments and see. As soon as the action comes back, we'll be back with you, and we will talk you through the pre-final for the DRS 125, which I'm sure is not very far away. Okay, so it looks like we are now at the point where we will reconvene with the DRS125 pre-final. Let's do a little time check. So we're probably running around about 30 minutes. It's probably cost us, and we'll undoubtedly make some of that time up through the gaps between the races. We're just waiting on the official nod now, just to make sure we've got that medical back up on circuit. And the pre-final will begin again. It'll be as we said, the 5th time of asking. So a little bit of pressure on the front two to get this start done and done well. They're all away for the formation lap. So if you just joined us, the initial race had a couple of false starts. It then had a rather big accident involving Roberto Minoni, Peter Hugler and Kurt Fordry. I'm pleased to report, or certainly on first glance, it looks like those drivers are okay. So that was red flagged, and then we've had this short stoppage, and we've just got restarted. I'm assuming they'll try and let them go first time if they possibly can do. It's sat for quite a long time, so they will have, everything will have dropped temperature, tyres, brakes. They're well formed as they go up the hanger straight. So Faulkner on your right hand side of your screen, he has the inside line for the Park Bend. Campbell Pilling alongside him. If he can stick it around the outside, he would then have the inside line for Cafe Corner. I think they'll be a little bit short of grip as they come round here. Where they're going to go, look at the lights. Yes, they're away at the first time of asking. Campbell Pilling tries to go on the outside, manages to hold on to that second place, and he is tucked up in behind Faulkner this time round. It's a much better start from Campbell Pilling. Will he have a little attack as they go down the hill? No. So, through the chicane for the first time, the race leader is Sam Faulkner, and we've said many times how good he is out from the front. He's got a slightly different complexion this time though, because he's got a very hungry Rowan Campbell Pilling just in behind him, and here comes Campbell Pilling down the inside. Can Faulkner hold on to take the inside line into the right-hander? No, and Campbell Pilling hits the front. Faulkner second. He's got pressure now from Oliver Owen, the champion from 2022. So Faulkner out front, swings left through the chicane, heads out up the hanger straight. Faulkner second. Owen behind them. Freddie Cox is in fourth, and down the inside goes Owen. So Owen has taken that second place away from Faulkner. Faulkner going backwards here at the moment, might come under pressure from Freddie Cox as well. All playing into the hands of Rowan Campbell Pilling. Campbell Pilling then has Oliver Owen got the pace to close this gap on Rowan Campbell Pilling. That's about half a second at the moment. See what it is next time round and what sort of dent Owen can put into it. Faulkner third, Cox and Snape. Cox is there, isn't he? Close enough to Sam Faulkner. And Faulkner goes back to the inside. And Cox tries to follow him through as well. Is he going to make it stick? Oh, there's contact between Owen and Cox. Contact between Owen and Cox as they went through the left-hander there. It was quite a big impact as well from Freddie Cox into the barriers. We'll just make sure that everyone's okay. It'll be a waved yellow flag. It was one of them. You can see Freddie Cox climbing out of the car now. It was one of those where they both came out side by side. They just ran out of road and we're going full course yellow. So they just ran out of road, the two of them. There was inevitable contact. Here we go then. So Faulkner down the inside. Cox tries to follow him through. Now at that point, as Cox won the corner, it's probably 6 of one and a half a dozen of the other, if I'm perfectly honest. The corner's not won by either of them. They're both side by side. They're both... It's a tough one to judge. I wouldn't imagine there'll be any action. I think that will be seen as a racing incident, if I'm perfectly honest. Are we green again? I think we... yeah, we are green again. What that has allowed is it's just allowed Faulkner to re-close up onto the back of Campbell Pullen. Campbell Pullen had a lovely little advantage that was helped by Oliver Owen, who'd had a bit of a dabble with Faulkner, and the two of them had fallen back a little bit off the leader. Now, Faulkner's back on terms with Ron Campbell Pullen, so it's been a hard look for Campbell Pullen. Oh, we had it sewn up, didn't he? With 6 minutes to go. Anything can happen in a motor race. And what that has meant is Campbell Pullen has got to be looking over his shoulder here, because Faulkner, fairly cool, calm and collected, been here before, is now just tucked up behind Campbell Pullen. Snape is third, Bill Basie has moved up into fourth, Oscar Walmsley-Jones going well in fifth. Then it's the number 8 of Tommy Welsh in sixth, and Daniel Weir is in seventh. So we know we've lost Freddie Cox. Oliver Owen has rejoined, but all the way down in 12th. Fastest lap of the race so far for Ron Campbell Pullen. He's having a good go at turning the screw here, isn't he? He's saying to Faulkner, if you want to get on terms with me, you've got to be very, very fast. And Faulkner hasn't quite got the answer yet. However, just think back to the first heat when Faulkner had to close a gap about the size that it is now. And as the race went on, he just ground Rowan Campbell Pullen down a little bit. He just started to edge back towards him, and then he was on the back bumper and he was through. He timed it to perfection as well. The difference, the gap was 4 tenths last time, it's not 5 tenths, so Campbell Pullen is just ever so slightly edging. There's a driver that's stopped. I think it's Oscar Walmsley-Jones out of 5th. So Walmsley-Jones has stopped. He has on the exit of the Wilkins corner, just around start finish. So Oscar Walmsley-Jones looks like a technical problem for him. He has retired. The benefactor of that is Tommy Welsh, who's moved up into 5th place, and the 310 as well of Max Papworth is the top rookie driver, and he's up into 6th place. There you can see Oscar Walmsley-Jones just retreating back to the safety of the Marshall Porsche. You can see the car of Freddie Cox there as well. 6 tenths is the gap between Ron Campbell Pullen and Sam Faulkner. Tom Snape third, Firas Bill Basie is 4th, and Tommy Welsh and Oliver Owen's back up into 6th. So what a good recovery that is from him. He's got Tommy Welsh just in front of him as well, so he's got an opportunity to make another place there. Here are the leaders. At the moment, it just doesn't look like him. He's making that move. Oliver Owen and Tommy Welsh. It doesn't look like Faulkner's got the sort of pace that he needs here. Tom Snape is only half a second or so further back from Faulkner. But at the moment, they haven't quite got the answers, have they, to this young man's pace. Faulkner needs to find something a little bit special. 8 tenths of a lap. He's going to need 3 tenths, isn't he? Based on the time that's got left in the race, he's going to need to be 3 tenths a lap faster than Ron Campbell Pullen. We just can't see him dragging in that sort of gap in the 90 seconds or so that remain. The gap's up anyway. Faulkner's lost another couple of tenths. So this is a good statement from Campbell Pullen. It's a great reaction and response from Ron Campbell Pullen. Snape third, Bill Basie 4th, Oliver Owen recovering into 5th, and Welsh 6th. Hapworth and Williams 7th and 8th, and then Carl Watt and Mark Lawrence is 10th. So an action-packed, an incident-packed DRS125 pre-final. Further down, including Carl Watt trying to get past Ryan Williams, the 327. So 30 seconds to go here, plus that final lap. The leaders are already through the chicane. That last time was still around about a second. In fact, Snape is coming back a little bit at Sam Faulkner in second place. So it was 1-0 to the experience of Sam Faulkner in Heat 1. However, we're about to see an equaliser from Rowan Campbell-Pilling. He's driven away at the front here. He's a very special young talent, there's no doubt about that. And he's into the chicane once more, goes left and then ducks right and out and up the hill. He's about to start his final lap. He goes through. Just have a look at his battle for second as well, because there you can see the gap. And Snape has come right back at Faulkner in these closing stages. And it's just not really happening for Sam Faulkner in this pre-final. And Snape now is going to put him under pressure in the closing stages. Does he go to the inside here? No. He'll stick him behind. He'll try and get a run down the Stratford straight and into the Stratford hairpin. Faulkner looks over his shoulder now. A little bit of nerves from Sam Faulkner, who has to defend, and he may have just left himself liable to something on the way into the chicane. He holds him off just once more. Faulkner's second. He's going to have to do it in the last corner, you would imagine. Tom Snape, if he's going to find a way through. Faulkner looks over his shoulder again. Into the last corner they come. Will he ever dive down the inside? Faulkner tries to block it off. I think he's just done about enough here to keep Snape at arm's distance. He has indeed. But Rowan Campbell-Pilling then comes through to win the pre-final for the DRS 125s. It is Sam Faulkner in second. It is Tom Snape in third place. What we do know is that the schedule has now been moved 30 minutes behind because of that incident. We won't be making the time up. We'll just be running the programme today effectively at a 30-minute delay. So that will mean that the DRS 62s, which was due for 3:30, the DRS 100B final, which is next due out at 3:10, will go out at 20 to 4 in about 7 minutes' time. So it just has the knock-on effect of knocking everything back 30 minutes. So we're on the grid for the start of the DRS 125 Grand Final. I'll grab a chat with Andy Cox while I'm here. Andy, I've been billing this as like old versus young. I know, but it works, doesn't it? It's we've got some graduates from DRS 100. It's nice to see those drivers progress through the different stages of the series, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, we've now got drivers that have started off in DRS 62. Then gone DRS 100, ex-champion from DRS 100. Sam, I think, won all three. Yeah. So it's all looking good, looking a lot healthier. It's great to see a senior grid, and it looks good with the DRS 100. That's a bumper grid, and we just need to build up the cadets, and the whole process is going to start again, and then this is what we have.
And we're back at Shenington, a great old historic kart track here. What was the rationale for bringing the series back here?
Well, we always try to alternate one of the circuits every year. Obviously there's many series taking place in the UK these days, and we haven't got lots of new tracks, so we just try to alternate it and it's about track availability. But it's fantastic circuit here. It's where I started racing years and years and years ago. You can see, it's nice to see some improvements they've made with the fencing and the curbs. So it's always great for racing, Shenington.
Good stuff, and we'll leave you to enjoy the DRS. I think we haven't got a couple of minutes. We're getting told to move, so we'll head over this way. Then. So we had first blood to Sam Faulkner in the first heat. An equaliser from Rowan Campbell-Pilling in the pre-final. And the two of them will go head-to-head in this grand final for the DRS 125s. Tom Snape and Firas Bilbezi. Now, Tom Snape came on really strongly, didn't he, at the end of the pre-final? Put Sam Faulkner under a lot of pressure, so if he can get a good start as well, won't rule Tom Snape out here. Firas Bilbezi is alongside him on the second row. Tommy Welsh and Max Papworth are on row 3. Ryan Williams and Kyle Watt are on row 4. There's some quick drivers to come from a little bit further back here. Oliver Owen inside of row 5. Look out for him. Oscar Walmsley-Jones, the outside of row 7. Keep an eye on him. And Freddie Cox, the inside of row number 8. He'll be looking to pick up as many points as he possibly can. So they're under the waved yellows, but they're heading round to hopefully get us underway. It's a front two that we've seen all weekend here. Campbell-Pilling and Faulkner. To the line they go. The lights are out. And it is Rowan Campbell-Pilling who cuts across first. Does Faulkner manage to get through into second place? He does. So Campbell-Pilling leads. Second place for Sam Faulkner. Firas Bilbezi is through into third place as they stream down fourth in last year's championship. Bilbezi now just tucked in behind Sam Faulkner. So they stream up towards the hanger curve. The hanger corner for the first time, flat out right-hander. Gets themselves set again for the right at Wilkins, and then out they go. Now I wonder if Faulkner feels he has to attack early here. We saw Campbell-Pilling, well, he did to Faulkner what Faulkner's been doing to everyone else for a long time. He drove away at the start of the race. I wonder if Faulkner just thinks, I've got to put in a couple of really blinding laps here. I've got to stay on top of Campbell-Pilling. I've got to try and find a way past and keep him at bay. I wonder if that's the intention. It's certainly be what my strategy would be, what I'd be thinking about right now. How can I find a way past him and just keep him behind me, just keep him close? Because if I let him have 2 or 3 kart lengths, he's already shown an ability to drive away at the front here. He's got a couple of kart lengths advantage now. He's not quite scampering away at the pace that he did in, for example, the pre-final. So Campbell-Pilling then, it is who leads. Faulkner is second. 2 kart lengths between the two of them. Bilbezi third, still there or thereabouts. Oh, there's a problem. There's a problem for Campbell-Pilling. There's a problem for Rowan Campbell-Pilling. He's slowing, he's stopping, he's out of the race. Rowan Campbell-Pilling has stopped. What has happened there? It's some sort of technical problem. He's stopped on the access road at the end of the Stratford Straight. The race leader, he looked slow when he came off the left-hander at Pitts Bend. He looked wide at the left-hander at Pitts Bend. He is out of this race. Rowan Campbell-Pilling. And what's on? There's contact further back as well. So there's further back involving Faulkner. So Faulkner's now at the back of the field. I didn't see it, I just heard it. I heard the screech of tyres. Here it is then. They came over the line. Bill Basie looks down the inside. Yeah, he's there or thereabouts, isn't he? Oh, they've not given each other room. See, I think Firas Bill Basie is well within his rights to go down the inside there. I don't think there's much in it. I think he's got more than half a cart length down the inside. It's a very fast corner. You've got to bear that into consideration. But Faulkner probably needs to give him a little touch of room just to protect his own race as well. Well, while all that's been happening, the benefactor is Tom Snape, because Snape is out front here by some distance as well. And what a promotion for Carl Watt, who's up into second place. So we build this being about the likes of Faulkner and Campbell-Pilling, and all of a sudden neither of those are in the frame. Faulkner's way down in 10th place at the moment, and Campbell-Pilling is out of the race. I wonder if it's really a place to throw a chain either for Rowan Campbell-Pilling. It looks like it's got to be something mechanical, there's no question of that, but it might take us a couple of minutes to unpick that last lap. Certainly Campbell-Pilling's had some sort of technical problem, some sort of mechanical failure. I'd be amazed if he's thrown a chain off. Just at that point of the circuit, really weird place to do that. No contribution from a curb or anything like that as he headed through the pit bend. But certainly something technical for him, and then within half a lap, when it looked like Sam Faulkner would probably scamper away and go on to win the race, Firas Bill Basie, to be fair to Firas Bill Basie, his mindset would probably then have been, right, I need to get Sam Faulkner behind me. I think it's a race incident, but listen, I am not the official, so I do not make those calls, nor would I want to. Interesting stuff. Now, the other thing to consider here, we just look at some of the other drivers. So Freddie Cox, for example, has come from 15th on the grid. He's now up to 4th, Freddie Cox. He's got Oliver Owen in front of him, and they've got Carl Watt in front of them. Beyond Carl Watt, 1.8 seconds further up the road, is Tom Snape. Now, I'm not saying they're going to have the pace to catch Tom Snape, because they've been good pace, really good pace. Probably need 2 or 3 tenths of a lap to close this gap to Tom Snape. But what they have done is they've managed to get past Carl Watt, so they've just disposed of Watt on the last lap. They went through together. Oliver Owen went through, and then Freddie Cox went through, and Oliver Owen's just in the fastest lap of the race. So 2.2 seconds is the gap between first and second, and that's what we need to look at now. So we've got, what, 6.5 minutes still to go. We've still got half race distance. They haven't got the pace to catch him, surely. Surely not. This next 2 laps will tell us. It'll give us an indication. So Snape, 2.2 seconds down the road. Oliver Owen, I'll tell you what, if Freddie Cox wins this race, it'll probably be the greatest comeback we've seen in DRS history, because he started on the back row effectively. So, 2.3 seconds is the gap now. I was going to say if they got the pace, no, they've just lost another 10. So, good reaction from Tom Snape. As we're getting excited, Tom Snape just thinks, well, you can calm down, because I can turn in more competitive lap times if I need to. I've got a little bit in reserve. And that is a very comfortable position to be in. So Snape, and now Cox ahead of Oliver Owen. So right then, Penny, what have you got in terms of getting after the leader? 2.3, it's now 2.5 the gap, which would have been the making the overtaking manoeuvre would have been the reason why that gap has gone up ever so slightly. So Snape and Cox and Owen and Watt and Welch and Papworth, who's the first of the Grandmaster drivers. Sam Fulton's up to 7th, so he's recovering quite well. Williams is 8th, and Morris and Jones is 9th, and Mary is 10th. You're going to be telling what this road Campbell killing. It is a blow for Campbell Payne. He's going to have to count this score. Again, doesn't leave him an awful lot of margin for error for the remainder of the season. 2.5 was the gap, 2.4, so they're taking a 10th. Now let me try and work my maths out here. What will they need? So they're going to need 2.4 seconds, and they've probably got 6 laps, 7 laps maybe. Gonna be a lot. 3 tenths a lap. More than that, isn't it? 4 tenths a lap maybe to close the gap. I don't think he's going to have that sort of pace. I think it's going to need some sort of error from Tom Snape to bring him back. And this will be an indicator here. 2.4 was the gap. Crossing the line off. Taking a little bit, haven't they? 2.2. So two tenths taken. And what I would say is if they can get within a second, I think the last half a second certainly can come very quickly, because it just does. It just does. When you close a gap that much, the last bit's always the easiest bit to get. I don't know if that's momentum or mindset or just the progress that you've made, but you generally do close up. Now, the worst thing here would be for Oliver Owen to try and go past Freddie Cox, especially if they are closing this gap ever so slightly. 2.2 was the gap, still 2.2, so no, it doesn't look like they're going to get there, does it? Here is Faulkner in the same corner that he came to blows with Firaz Bilbezi. Where's Bilbezi, by the way? He's down 11th at the moment. Quite a few moves today where I think on reflection, if the drivers had just taken a moment to think it's the first race of the season, let's not do anything silly. Would those moves have been made, or would the opposition driver give them a bit more space, because there's been none given and none taken really, has there, from a reasonableness in terms of giving overtaking manoeuvres a little bit of space this weekend. And for the first race of the season, first weekend of 7, it's not always the smartest ploy. So the gap between Snape and Cox is 1.9 seconds, so it is coming down. It's not coming down very quickly, but it is coming down. What have you got, Freddie, in your locker now? Have you got one unbelievable lap which drops it to a second and a half, and then another one drops it to a second, and all of a sudden Snape might get a little bit twitchy. I don't think it's going to happen, by the way, with the 2 minutes that we've got left. But Cox is certainly faster than Watt and Owen. In fact, I think Watt has just got back past. He has. So good work from Carl Watt, who will want that place on the podium for sure. 1.8 seconds, Freddie Cox to Snape. Wonder what sort of role Freddie Cox would have played in this final if he wasn't all the way down. If he'd have been in the front 2 or 3 rows, you'd have fancied him to certainly be up there with Tom Snape. We've got just over a minute to go here. Is Freddie Cox getting any closer? He looks a little bit close, doesn't he? 1.8 seconds was the gap last time round. What is it now? It is 1.6. So it's down another couple of attempts. He's going to need another 5 or 6 laps here. He's not going to get them. But he's certainly pushing. Is Freddie Cox. He's certainly trying. 1.6 seconds. Snape just has a little token look over his right shoulder. He's got 2.5 laps left to go here. So he's going to take a mistake. I think that's fair to say. What a good drive from Carl Watt, by the way. Up into 3rd. It looks like he's just got the measure of Oliver Owen, the champion. Faulkner back up to 5th. Super drive from him. Champion's drive from him, it has to be said, to recover that sort of ground after being off in that instant with Firaz Bilbezi. So we've got 2 laps to go here. Gap, fastest lap for Freddie Cox. 1.4 seconds the difference then. Snape and Cox. And we're about to head onto the final lap of this race. If he gets it to within a second, he's done a mighty fine job, Freddie Cox. Watt in third, Owen in fourth. Will he come under pressure from Faulkner at the end? Probably not. The gap's pretty big between those two. In fact, Watt just started to close the gap slightly on Cox, hasn't he? 1 lap to go then. What's the gap now? Ooh, 1.2 seconds. He's going to get it under a second, isn't he? Really good work from Freddie Cox. I tell you what, if he had another 4 or 5 laps, this would be very close. It'd be a grandstand finish from Freddie Cox on Tom Snape. But Tom Snape's done a good job, hasn't he? Yes, he's had a little bit of fortune. He's managed to get a little bit of luck from those around him, falling over each other, and the retirement for Campbell Pillin. But you've still got to be there or thereabouts to take advantage, and he's done that. Tom Snape then will open his account for 2023 with a victory at round 1 of the Daniel Ricciardo Series. He wins the DRS125 Grand Final. Freddie Cox, a super drive all the way from 15th on the grid up to 2nd place. Carl Watt, a very deserved podium as well. Oliver Owen in 4th. Sam Faulkner, good recovery to 5th. It's the number 8 of Tommy Welsh who comes home in 6th place. So just a short turnaround for 4 or 5 minutes for the grand final for the DRS 100s. So they will be about to get themselves ready for action. We'll look through the DRS 100 classified results, obviously subject to any appeals or any scrutineering checks. And of course, any penalties that the officials may deem to be appropriate from that race. It takes a little bit of sorting out to do from that, wasn't there? There was an awful lot of incident in that DRS 125 Grand Final. Interesting stuff. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the trophy presentation for round 1 of the 2023 Daniel Ricciardo Series here at Shenington. We'll start with the DRS 125 class, and our best rookie in the DRS 125s goes to number 310, Max Papworth. And our top 3 there in the DRS 125. Third place then for number 6, Carl Watt. Second place, and a great drive from 15th on the grid, number 332, Freddie Cox. And today's winner, and opening his account for the 2023 season, number 3, Tom Snape. Well done. Put your hands together for our DRS 125 top 3 and best rookie. On to our DRS 100 class. We'll start with the B final winner. The winner of that B final was number 166, Dorian Malek. And the top rookie in the DRS 100 Grand Final was in 10th overall, number 135, Jacob Milkarski. our DRS 100 top 3, one of the best races we've seen here at the Daniel Ricciardo Series. Third place then for number 3, Charlie Ratford. In second place, number 168, Connor Scarisbrick. And today's race winner, number 147, a super drive from Sherry Ann Powell. The DRS 100 top 3, everyone. On to our DRS 62s, and we start with the Academy class in third place. 6th overall for the DRA plate, Carter Inskip Clarkson. Second place, 5th overall for the 139 of Reuben Jenkins. And today's DRS 62 Academy winner, 4th place overall for 132, Neo Luzu. Our DRS Academy top 3, everyone. On to our DRS 62 Superclass in third place, number 55, Lucas Eze. Second place, and in a great battle as well with the winner, number 9, Ashton Redpath. And today's winner, picking up where he left off last season, number 1, Oscar Walsh. Ladies and gentlemen, the DRS 62 Grand Final top 3. And that's everything from us all here at round 1 of the 2023 Daniel Ricciardo Series at Shenington. We'll do it all again in just a few weeks' time at round 2 in Landau. We'll see you then.